Hi, I'm Roll SK from Bitterl Goons Gaming, and welcome to our new tech video series called So You Bought an Arcade. In this series, we're going to explore how to source your own arcade depending on what your needs are, what sort of questions to ask the seller before you go pick it up or purchase it, what to inspect when you actually get to the arcade at the site, what sort of prices you can expect to pay depending on what your own needs are, how to transport the thing properly, and finally, how to inspect and put it together at home so you can get yours up and running, depending on, again, what your own needs are. So stick around and I'll tell you how to find one of your own. So you want an arcade. Well, there's a bunch of different options for you depending on what your needs are. You can buy an arcade brand new from wholesalers online or vendors online. That would be the most expensive route, but that way you can get a warranted system brand new and they'll deliver it as well. But be prepared to spend quite a bit of money for a brand new system. If you want a used arcade system, like this one in front of me here, then the options are really endless. I got my first used arcade cabinet because I was renting a rehearsal spot, and there was an arcade there, and the owner said, just take it when you go, because I don't want the thing. That's actually my burger type cabinet. This one came to me because Broken Trim Chain and the BOGG group there turned me on to a guy who was selling it on a music equipment forum. So, you know, a place where you sell guitars and amps, so this guy was selling one of these. You can quite often find them in classifieds, you know, Kijiji, Craigslist, your local newspaper classifieds, online classifieds. And keep an eye out for things like hotels or bars or restaurants that are moving or closing or changing ownership. Quite often they might have an used arcade machine in there that they're going to end up auctioning. Speaking of auctions, there's quite a few online arcade auctions, so keep an eye out for those as well. And spread the word around your friends and family, because it'd be surprised. You know, it's quite often somebody has one of these things sitting in their basement and it's been collecting dust for years. So, you know, they'd be willing to let it go for a reasonable price. Now, if you want to build your own, there are flat pack kits available. Extension is one of the marketers that make them, but there are countless companies all over North America and the world that will sell you an empty flat pack cabinet where you can put your own hardware in any configuration you like. I have a 32-inch extension cabinet in my basement and I absolutely love it. And you can do custom art on those things as well. In terms of DIY kits, you can do JAMA configuration, which is a sort of all-in-one multiple game arcade setup that's designed to plug into conventional arcade connections. You can of course throw a PC in something like I've done with my extension cabinet. There's Raspberry Pi options. So really, if you just want to build yourself a custom arcade, you just need an empty cabinet to use. So that's basically how you would find one. Now, in terms of pricing, you know, the best deal you can get, I would say, for a non-functional or functional arcade with some components, I would expect pay $1 a pound. For example, this one is 500 pounds and I paid $500, and that's a heck of a deal. But in general, you might pay, you know, $200 for just an empty cabinet. Brand new arcade machines can cost thousands of dollars, so by all means try to find a used one. But best deal you can probably get is about $1 a pound, and some of them go up from there. And when you're sourcing one, consider how to pick it up and how to transport it. So in our next segment of this, we're going to talk about how to inspect it when you get there, what sort of questions to ask the previous owner, and then we'll talk about how to transport the thing to where you live. So, you found an arcade machine. Now what? First thing you're going to want to do is start asking some questions about the potential unit you want to buy. And that's going to depend on whether or not it's considered working or if it's considered broken. Either case, you're going to want to ask some history on it. Ask the seller where they got it from and what sort of life it's had, where it's been stored, how long it's been stored there, when was the last time they had it operational. If it's broken, also ask them if they know any history as to what happened or what went wrong. That way you're going to have a little bit of a heads up when you start inspecting it when you get it home to find out what exactly you're going to have to fix. So when you find an arcade machine, do some reading on the history of the arcade machine itself, and I'm not talking about from the seller. I mean, go online and read the manual and find out what sort of components and parts a system should come with. For example, this one came with a large stack of literature that it's supposed to come with. For example, we have promotional material for whichever vendor is going to put this in their business. We have the complete operation manual, including how to wire the system up and get it configured and installed. We have Global VR's registration guide to get this thing online so it can compete in online tournaments. And countless other things as well. This particular unit uses a CD-ROM for information storage, or information installation rather, and a computer in the back, basically just a PC with a hard drive. But it comes with a complete set of restore disks required to install if required. Many arcades have security Allen wrenches or Torx bits. So for example, most of these Torx bits have a small rod in the middle that prevents you from using a regular Torx, so you need to have this actual key. Otherwise, you can't open the thing up. So make sure you have all the proper components and cables. So now we're going to spin the thing around. I'll open up the back. We'll zoom in. I'll show you some of the other things that it should have in it if yours is in working condition. Okay, if the owner said the unit's working, ask them to demonstrate it before you pay them, and have them demonstrate all the controls and functionality of the system. If you don't have the opportunity to do that, or something's broken, now is the good time to inspect everything before you get it home. Make sure you have at least all the major components. So most arcade systems, new or old, are going to have the same basic components, though the actual details of those will vary. Top and bottom, there will be a marquee at the top. Make sure the thing lights up and is complete. Check in the back to make sure there's power cables running up to it. Below that, you should have a CRT chassis. Tube TV right there. Make sure it's properly plugged in, and this one appears to be all properly laid out as per factory. You're going to have some kind of central processing unit, and this will vary from old style PCBs and arcades to this much more modern actual PC. And if you do have a modern unit, one thing that you should take a note and make sure you look for, this is a security dongle for Madden Season 2. The game will not operate without this. So make sure you research if your game has some sort of proprietary software or hardware that's required to make it work. And when you go pick it up, make sure it's there. There's a power supply in these. This one's at the bottom. In this particular case, there's also a power bar just because it's powered by a PC. And an audio amplifier and speaker setup. So make sure you've got the marquee components, the monitor chassis, central processing unit, power supply, audio amplifier, cables to connect all those, and of course make sure the joysticks and controls at the front are complete. And the coin-op mechanism itself, some of them are going to be complete, some of them are not going to be complete. It just depends what your use is. If you want to use it for commercial means, get one with a complete coin operator. Check to make sure it works, fire quarter, and make sure it works. If it's just for home use, well, you can get replicas or remakes if you want, or just leave it as is. Also, inspect the case for any damage. This one, as you can see, has some cracking at the bottom, and there's some paint scuffs and things like that, but that can be repaired with glue and a bit of cleaning. Should be all good to go. One thing I will warn everybody is, do not plug it in if it's a damaged or inoperable unit until you do a very thorough inspection of all the cables and wiring to make sure nothing has shifted or will short out. Check specifically for water damage. If you have any question, don't try it. You don't want to start a fire with this thing or burn out components you don't need. So that's it. Once you're satisfied, then load the thing up. This thing's a behemoth. I had to take my door off to get it into my house. Which brings us to transport. Rule number one, you cannot lie them down. A lot of people are tempted to do that because they're easier to load in and out of a vehicle, but the components in this thing are not designed to lie on their side. The CRT can shift, the CPU can shift, the cables can shift, just don't try it. It has to go upright, which means you're going to need a trailer or a truck. If you're doing any travel during the summertime or bug season, bring a drop cloth, throw over this thing, Ours flew off on the highway, which is why there's a few bug splatters, but we wrapped it with a tarp and got it the rest of the way home. You're going to need friends for sure. This thing weighs 475 pounds. It took 3 of us a very strenuous period of time to load it into a truck. 4 people had to load it in, and it was a lot easier with 4 people. So make sure when you plan this, you have the truck and you have help to move it. Once you do get it into the back of the truck, slide it up to the cab and put a strap over it in such a way to hold it upright to that cab. A second strap over the top is ideal as well, to prevent from shifting side to side. And just be aware that that load's going to be sort of high-centered, and you want to make sure you don't turn into sharp corners or brake swiftly or anything like that. Be very careful when you're transporting this thing. And then when you get it home, just be careful of your floors, and if you have to take a door off, you have to take a door off. So that's about it. In our next video, we're going to start pulling this thing apart piece by piece and cleaning it and getting it back in pristine shape. Then we'll go through some of the factory calibration of the monitor and setup, and then have a game of Madden. So I hope you enjoyed the video and stick around. This time next week, we'll probably produce another one that's going to show you everything inside here torn apart, including the controls. And we'll take a look at the manual and make sure everything's wired up properly. I'm Roll SK from Bitter Old Goons Gaming. Thanks for watching.